Beijing as Marchand tries to pass Mila for another Olympic gold.
The greats do things when they don't always want to.
Megastar of these Paris Olympics.
I believe that whatever I put my mind to, that I could achieve absolutely anything.
Michael Phelps is the greatest Olympian of all time, and with 28 Olympic medals, it's really hard to argue otherwise. But there is a new kid on the block, and his name is Léon Marchand. And the real question is, if these two were to go head-to-head today at their best, both in their prime, who would win? Who would win in the race? We're going to go through this event by event, and we're going to talk about speed, we're going to talk about numbers, and we are going to analyze what would happen if they race. And I know they are from two different generations, but Michael Phelps isn't that old. Come on, we've seen him on the TV. It's not like we're comparing Michael Phelps to Mark Spitz. We have Michael Phelps. He has 28 Olympic medals. Léon Marchand, 22 years of age, from France, in his home Olympics. He just won 4 individual gold medals. He is unquestionably the greatest swimmer on the planet right now. So let's take a look at what their times would be if they raced each other. And we're going to start with the men's 200 butterfly. This is where Michael Phelps made his first Olympic team back in 2000. At the age of just 15 years old, he qualified. He was the youngest male ever to break a world record, and he dropped the world record over 5 seconds over his career, and he brought it down to a 151.51, and he set that time in the 2009 World Championships. If you guys remember, in 2008, his goggles filled up with water during that race, and he still won a 152.0. I don't think he broke the world record. Maybe he broke the world record. Doesn't really matter. His best time is this 151.51, and you look at Marchand, 151.21. What's remarkable is when you look at how they split this race. I'm going to zoom in so you can see this. Michael Phelps, with that 0.63 reaction time on the first 50 meters, he was a 24.76. Marchand was 24.96. When we look at the 100-meter split, 28.1, and he was a 52.88 on that 100 split. And look at Marchand. Michael Phelps was actually faster at the 100 than Marchand. When we look at the 150, 29.0, Marchand holding a little bit stronger on the back half, 28.7, and the final split, 29.5 to, Marchand's 28.9, and that's where he passed Christoph Milak, the defending Olympic gold medalist in the 200 fly at the Paris Olympics, and he came down to a monster, 151.21, just edging out the great Michael Phelps. Of course, these times were swum about 15 years apart, but if they were to race at their best in the lanes next to each other, you guys let me know down below in the comments who you think would win this race and the other races that we're going to talk about. The next event in the program that we need to discuss is the 200 breaststroke. Now, this is an interesting one for these guys because arguably this is Léon Marchand's best event, his best stroke, not his best event, his best stroke. Michael Phelps is known for being a butterfly specialist. Of course, Marchand over here, of course he can swim the 200 butterfly, but it actually is not his best event or his best stroke, which is pretty crazy when you think about that. So let's look at this 200 breaststroke. Now, we can only look at Marchand. He just won a 205.8. Do we think Michael Phelps would have gone, if he swam this event in his prime, do we think he would have gone a 205? I don't think so. Let me know if you disagree in the comments. I think the best Michael Phelps could put together if he trained and just swam this event, I think he would go a 208.5, which is still incredible in his own right. I think he would split it. Let's zoom in here a little bit. I think he would split it probably a 101.5, and he'll go a 107.0 on the second 100, and that'll put him at that 108.5. Now, if you compare those splits with what Marchand was able to achieve, which is absolutely incredible, he took it out in a minute 0.5, and then he held 32s on the last 350s. That's how he went that 205. It was an Olympic record. It wasn't a world record, but still very, very impressive. So if we're keeping tabs here, right now Michael Phelps would be at 0 and Marchand would be at 2. But this gets a lot more interesting as we look at other events. Now let's look at the third 200 before we talk about the 4IM and some wild cards that I have for you guys at the end with my hot takes as well. Next up, we're going to look at the 200 IM. This is a 50 butterfly, 50 backstroke, 50 breaststroke, 50 freestyle. This is the real test of who is the best swimmer in the world. It's this event because you have to combine all 4 disciplines. And when you look at Michael Phelps' time. It is astonishing. One of the most impressive swims ever. He did this in the lane next to Ryan Lochte at the 2011 World Championships. Michael Phelps took it out with a .69 reaction time off the block. Remember, he is a butterfly specialist with that early speed, 24.8 to lead things out. How did Marchand do? 24.7. So Marchand out just a little bit. Ironically, this number 2, is the position that they were in during that specific race. So if you notice, Marchand was actually in second when he did this race in the Olympics, and Michael Phelps was actually leading. But you can see what happened on that second 50, and all the way through the race, Michael Phelps did not win this event. He was just off the world record because the guy in the lane next to him won a 154.00, and that was Ryan Lochte from the United States. What a race that was. If we continue to look at the splits, Michael Phelps was out in a 53.6, Marchand 53.55. On the breaststroke, Michael Phelps split a 33.1 and Marchand 32.3. That is a monster split, and you can see the differential between 32.3 and 33.1. Again, Marchand is the breaststroke specialist, and that's really where that came. Final time, 154.06 to Michael Phelps, 154.16. You cannot write it any better than this. To see how close these guys were from a different generation is something else entirely, that they are this close. Now, we have one more event that we have to talk about before we get into the fun stuff and my wild card predictions for the other events, but it is the 400 IM, and this is the event that Michael Phelps kicked off his wild journey in Beijing. If you look at this record, it was set August 10th, 2008. Michael Phelps had the world record all the way from 2008 at a 4:03.8. Remember, this is the 400 IM, similar to the 200 IM, just twice as long. Yeah, it's a brutal event. If you guys are my swim fans, you know how hard this event is. But last World Championships, we saw Léon Marchand take down what was arguably said as the hardest world record to break, because Michael Phelps took that world record down so far when he went that 4:03.84. Everyone thought it would take 20 or 30 years for someone to really dip under that. And sure enough, 16 or 15 years later, we see this guy right here. That's Léon Marchand. He was able to go a 4:02.5, destroying Michael Phelps' time. Let's go ahead and zoom in on the splits. We can see how remarkable that was. Now, when Michael Phelps broke this record, he was out in a 54.9. Marchand, 54.6 right there. At the 100 or the 200 mark, 156.4. Marchand was a little bit behind, but it all happened on the breaststroke. Remember that breaststroke split, 33.8, 33.7. That is unbelievable. At that split, he was at a 3:04.28 compared to Michael Phelps, 3:07.05. And you can see that's where Marchand took the biggest chunk of time off. His freestyle legs weren't even that fast, but when you're going so fast on the breaststroke and you go that 4:02.5, that is insane. When we saw at the Paris Olympics, Marchand was able to go a 4:02.9, so he was a little bit slower than he was at the World Championships. But hey, to go twice faster than the great Michael Phelps is an accomplishment in itself. Now we're going to talk about the wild cards, because we can't just look at the 4 most recent events. That these are Marchand's literal best 4 events. Michael Phelps is the greatest of all time because he swam 5 individual events. He won all of them. He was on 3 relays. He won all of those. And he swam in multiple Olympics. For crying out loud, the 400 IM, he won it 4 Olympics in a row. So yes, Marchand edged him out by a little bit by time, but Michael Phelps won the event 4 Olympics in a row. So let's talk about some other events that maybe are not either of these guys' best events, but they're events that were swum. And the first one we're going to talk about is actually the 200-meter freestyle, 200 free. And the reason why this is such a significant event is because Michael Phelps right here actually won the gold medal, broke the world record in this event at the Olympics in Beijing. This was his 5th event. Remember, Marchand only did 4. Michael Phelps won 5 individual events, and that event was right here, and he won a 142.96. It is still the fastest time ever done by an American. It is one of the fastest swims of all time, second fastest of all time, and this was set back in 2008. Just goes to show how fast that is that Michael Phelps went. Now, Léon Marchand does not have a very fast time established in this event, but we have to use our imaginations here. And I'm going to use my swimming expertise of being a nerd for over 2 decades and covering these games and other swimming events for you guys to let you know where I think he would have gone in this event. I think if he swam this event at the Olympics, I think he would have gone at these games. I think he would have gone a 144.5. He might have won the gold medal if he swam this event, but you can see from a time perspective, Michael Phelps clearly faster. Now, in a short course yard pool, we've seen Léon Marchand put up the fastest 200-yard freestyle ever at the NCAA. That's a different pool length. Remember, NCAA is 25-yard. Michael Phelps and Marchand at the Olympics, we're talking a 50-meter pool. It's like a different animal entirely. It's like swimming in the open water versus in the pool. 2 different events completely. Marchand will have to take a second place to Michael Phelps in this specific event. And you wonder why Marchand didn't swim it, because he probably wasn't confident that he could win it here. Now let's talk about an event that Marchand probably could have won if he swam it at these Paris Olympics, and that would be the 100-meter breaststroke. Now, Marchand, we saw him go a 2:05 in the 200. So again, we have to use our imagination. What do we think he would have gone at these Olympics if he just swam the 100 breaststroke? And I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say he would have gone a 58.5. He could have gone much faster than that. Maybe he goes a little bit slower. I think it's very reasonable to think he'd go a 58.5. After all, he took out the 200 in a minute 0.5. So 58.5 is certainly reasonable. Now, do we think Michael Phelps could go a 58.5? And the reality is, no, I don't think he would have gone a 58.5. At the time when Michael Phelps was swimming, this would have been the world record. Just goes to show how fast that event has gone. I do think Michael Phelps would have been able to crack a minute if he focused on the 100 breaststroke. Yes, he wasn't as good in the IM, but he is the greatest of all time for a reason. I think he would have dipped right under a minute, and he would have been under 60 seconds, maybe 59.7, 59.5. I think he would have been under a minute. Now let's talk about another event that both of these guys have swum, and Phelps led off the relay, the 4x1 free relay, and that's the 100 freestyle. Next event we got to talk about is the 100 freestyle. Now this event, Michael Phelps' best time is a 47, we wrote the number backward, 47.51, and he did that leading off the relay. That's where Lezak, remember, split a 46.06, fastest relay split of history. This was the most incredible relay performance in Olympic history, and it secured Michael Phelps' spot to win that 8th gold medal, and he led off in that everyone in the team did their job, 47.51. What do we think Léon Marchand would be capable of doing if he swam this event at these Olympic Games? Do we think he would have gone under 49 seconds? Yes. Do I think he would have gone under 48 seconds? I don't think so. I think he would have been a 48.2, maybe 48.3, 48.1. I think he would have been around a 48, but I don't think he would have broken 48 seconds. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. And as you can see, Michael Phelps again would take the win here. And so we need to have one more event. Maybe it's the tiebreaker here. What is the next event that you guys could think would be the 100 butterfly? Let's look at the 100 butterfly, because both of these guys, obviously they swam the 200 fly. And when we go back up to what happened in that 200 butterfly, look at how close it was. We're talking about 151.51 to a 151.21. 0.3 seconds separated them. So do we think Michael Phelps has more speed than Marchand in that fly in the 100? And let's take a look at what we think. Now, we know Michael Phelps' best time is a 49.82. He did that at the Rome World Championships in 2009. He won the Olympics in a 50-point, but he continued to drop time, and he was the first man ever to go under 50 seconds in the 100-meter butterfly. And this is the ultimate wrap-up, and maybe this will be the tiebreaker. Again, if you disagree, let me know in the comments. That's where I want to see the discussion. What do I think Léon Marchand would go in the 100-meter butterfly? Do I think he would have broken 50 seconds? No, I do not think Léon Marchand today would break 50 seconds. Maybe in the future, but today I do not think so. I think he would go a 50.2. And I think it would be a very close race if these guys were racing today. But what would I know? You guys let me know in the comments. Who do you think is the greatest swimmer on the planet if they were racing at the same time? We know Michael Phelps has more medals. We know it would be a hotly contested event. But I want you guys to let me know in the comments. And if you think this was a good analysis, you're going to love this video right over here. So I'll check you over there, and happy swimming.